All right, guys, let's go. Let's go meet time.
Yeah, so I'm guessing everyone is signed in. Yeah, so welcome.
If you're not signed in, please do
Sign
so.
in.
Yeah,
More pizza for next
we'll have
time.
more pizza next time.
Yeah. So anyways, first we'll introduce the officers. So us four officers. This is I'm the president, Gabriel. What's up, y'all?
Yeah, there you go.
Cool.
These two did.
I'm you should have told me.
I'm the secretary.
That's it. All right, cool. Well, there we go. Officer intros. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and next one. There we go. So we do have a YouTube channel which we'll try to post the recordings on there. Hopefully it'll work this time. We also have Discord, which most of y'all are probably on, but in case you aren't, go ahead and try scanning that code. It's expired. All right. Shouldn't be. It was unexpiring code.
It's a static QR code. It didn't expire.
I can generate a new one while we're Jerry, if you keep going, then
Yeah,
I'll generate
alright.
it at the end.
We will put a new QR code up for Discord. So it was what do we do in this club? So I mean, we're just interested in cool AI stuff, but we kind of like we want to kind of show off what like the current state of AI is. I mean, obviously it's kind of a cool time to be just looking at AI right now with all the LLMs and stable diffusion and stuff. So we kind of want to show off all this technology that's here at the moment and how you can kind of leverage that in your day-to-day lives, but also kind of get into the details of how those algorithms work. And we're going to have two types of meetings. One meeting is going to be a general meeting, which will be more like, this is what the algorithms are, such as like Llama 2. This is what the LLM models are. And it'll be more general, and we won't get into the details of how the algorithms work too much, but we'll also show some cool ways you can utilize those algorithms. So that'll be our general meeting. And we're also going to have a paper reading group. So if you're more interested in the details of how some of the algorithms work, then the paper reading group will be for that. And you can go to both. And we're going to have 2 a month. So it'll be 6 meetings total. And we'll go through each of our meeting plans so far.
And real quick, I want to say something too. If you're non-technical or you're a computer science student who doesn't have a lot of like programming expertise, the general meetings are going to be as accessible as possible. So a lot of the stuff will be things you can literally download and run and immediately like use, and you won't have to understand very much. But the paper reading group will be technical. It will be hard to understand, but it's like a good experience to get introduced into the research side of things. And then we have a lot of members and officers that are like doing AI research. And so if you go to the paper reading group, you can kind of get connected with the actual research community at SMU that's doing AI research. So if you're really interested in that and you want to get involved early, that's the best way to go about it.
All right. So our future meeting plans. So we have in September, so we have 2 meetings, the paper reading group and the general meeting. The general meeting will be like how to run your own Llama 2 model and kind of I guess how to fine tune it. So everyone's probably heard of these large language models, ChatGPT, but you can only do so much with it because it's behind an API. Llama 2, on the other hand, it is open source and you can do a lot with it because it's open sourced, and you can even fine tune it on your own machine and run it on your own machine. So the general meeting will be kind of about that.
So also, in case you don't know, LLM means large language model, and that's like chatbots, basically. Anything any AI that can convert text to more text, or sometimes people use LLMs for text to image, but it's basically your own ChatGPT is the general easy way to understand it.
And the paper reading group will be about this paper called QLoRa. It's a way to fine tune a large language model on, but compress the model to a 4-bit state. And it's a very good paper because I mean, it's used a lot because you can make the model 8 times smaller, I think.
Basically, if like, let's say before you wanted to fine tune something like Llama 2 or GPT-3, I guess GPT-2, you would need a lot of computers and a lot of graphics cards, basically a lot of GPU and compute to fine tune it to do your specific use case. But with QLoRa, you basically just need like a gaming GPU. So I have like a pretty basic gaming graphics card in my computer. And I can fine tune my own large language models and it will fit in the graphics card in a single card. So instead of needing a big data center to do all of this work, I can just do it at home with my own data. And you really don't need a lot of money to be able to fine tune it, which is like a really big deal because it's been insanely expensive to train these models, but super cheap to fine tune them now.
Yeah, it's so fine tuning is where you take this model that has like a bunch of general knowledge, which Llama 2, it's basically trained on like the internet. So it has a lot of knowledge about just general stuff. But if you want to make it like towards whatever task you want it to be, maybe you want to make it more chat like ChatGPT, then you would fine tune it so that it's more specified to your task. Or maybe I don't know, maybe you want to make it talk to you in some way, then you would fine tune it on data so that it's more tuned to that task. But it's better than completely training it from scratch. But we'll get into all that in this meeting. The next meeting will be about explainable AI. If you want to, Nathan, talk more about this one.
So this is something that you encountered at job a little bit, and then I found out it's actually really, really cool. It's called constraints programming. So it's not exactly AI that most people are used to nowadays, at least, where it's making images or doing text. What constraint programming is basically if you can, like, let's say you're trying to solve a problem, and we'll call it like the classic. You've got a bunch of paintings and you want to fit the most paintings on your wall, which is called a knapsack problem, which you'll learn about in like your classes. They'll teach you ways to go about it and how hard it is to solve these problems, and you'll have to write something custom for that. But with constraint programming, you literally just say, you know, I've got a wall that's this big, I've got this many paintings that are this size, solve it for me. And you can do that for basically any problem. So it can be things like traffic engineering. So, you know, what trains do you send over what routes? It can be things like satellites in space. What data do you send where? It can be things like making sure that you're maximizing the profits based on the items that you're selling. And it's all done with the same solver, and it's actually beat like every programming competition in the last 6 years. So constraint programming is like a really easy way to explain how your AI is working and be like the best, most optimal solution. And if you can't get an optimal solution, it will at least tell you that it knows it's this close to being optimal in some capacity. So we'll talk about constraint programming and how that might connect to like the broader AI. So using that as part of like the reasoning capabilities of some AI that you may not be able to explain very well. Yeah. So.
That's our plan for October, and we're still finding a paper to cover.
I have a paper too.
Do you have a paper? Nice.
Yeah. So the paper I think we'll do that month will be a paper called Topological Defining.
That's not a paper.
Well,
It's a thesis.
That's going to be
It's over a whole thesis. 200 pages.
The sheet paper is really good, but like it's not really constraint programming.
We'll
talk
figure
about
it
Find
out.
out the last.
right.
And then the last set of meetings in November, this will be Stable Diffusion, state of the art image generation. Maybe it'll be different by that point. Maybe it won't be diffusion. Who knows? But the general meeting is going to be Stable Diffusion and image generation. Just in general, how does diffusion work? It's a very interesting process, and how can you perform your own like image generation and maybe even video generation? At that time, video generation is kind of not that good right now, but it's gotten a lot better in the last month. Few weeks actually. So that'll be the general meeting. It's how do you run this on your own like machine or a machine in the cloud? How do you actually run this thing? And then the paper reading group will be, it'll go over Stable Diffusion and how that works like in detail, but there's probably going to be a paper that comes out about video generation or maybe an even better image generation model, and we'll go over that. So right now the paper is also to be determined.
Yeah. Whatever is state of the art
at that time. But it'll probably be some Stable Diffusion type. And that's a picture I generated with Stable Diffusion XL with that prompt.
Prompt.
Yeah, so put the prompt. So, yeah. Anyway, so if y'all have any feedback about these meetings, we'd love to hear it. If y'all
If
got
there's anything
something-
you want to see that you didn't see for the possible meetings. I
I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, feel free to let us know if you got any feedback and the
We definitely
Discord.
can get on. the phone.
So it's on the Discord officer channel if you just want to pull it up.
I'll pull it up
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, but anyways,
It's like, QR code is mine.
Oh,
Yeah.
died.
Oh, right, yeah.
You said it's- Just understanding how this all works, so. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
good.
Yeah, I think it would- we're definitely thinking about that a lot, so. I think the main thing is, for me at least, is, I don't think a lot of people understand how. Industries are going to change, AI, and so I think that's a big concern of mine. Is mainly just, if you're really much about a specific industry and then the industry disappears, I'd rather you know than not. So we'll talk about those kinds of things. We did a meeting next semester about that, how the jobs will change and what, we can look forward to in the future, but. I think when we talk about the chatbots, for example, we can kind of skew it that way so that you can retain, okay, you have your own chatbot, but. Can you make it useful for, learning to program better, or, if you're doing math, what chat, what fine tunes are good at doing, abstract math or things like that. How do you know which ones are better at math?
Yeah, we'll definitely add that to the presentation. I think that's definitely going to be a big good part of it. So I'm going to send out a link with this presentation in it, because I put a lot of links in here for cool state-of-the-art tools. So it'll be in the Discord channel. So let me send that out for those of y'all who are already in there. Actually, I can pull it up now. The QR code if you want to scan it for the.
I didn't.
Me neither.
Wait, really? What did you think it stood for? Cool.
I don't know, I just thought, why is it so
So,
thinking of this new soda, like crazy, right? Soda is like. It's like,
oh, soda.
There we go. That's the Discord.
This time it should work.
Soda.
Discord. And also in the Discord, if you want to just ask questions about classes, or it doesn't just have to be AI Club. The idea is mainly just that a lot of CS students or students in general that are interested in AI are there. So, feel free to chat about it, just to ask questions.
Everyone good? Cool. Let's get back to. There we go. All right. So yeah, there's a bunch of links on here for the resources. So first resource is Llama 2. It's the best open source language model right now, and there's a lot of variations on it, such as Wizard 2 and Vicuna 2. I think it was Vicuna 2, but fine-tuned versions of Llama to improve it in general. And I think this is a really good tool that you should check out. And later I'm going to show how you can actually kind of use this. There's a tool that makes this really easy. But yeah, I think you should check this out and just see how powerful these models are that you can run locally on your machine, right now.
If you're a freshman student and you don't know a lot of programming, what you can do most likely is literally Google Llama 2, and there's a website called Hugging Face, which is kind of like GitHub for hosting models. Basically, just where you can save your models online, and a lot of the times they'll have places where you can run the models on the website, and so you can just try it out there. And then the way I started getting introduced to a lot of the LLMs is I literally just went on YouTube and searched how to run Llama, and there's a lot of really good guides that you don't have to understand very well to get it up and running. And I think if you tinker with that as the freshman that doesn't know how to program, you'll learn a lot. And as long as you just give it your best shot, you'll probably walk away with a ton of experience in just an afternoon of walking through, just learning how to get this up and running.
And Hugging Face in general is a great resource if you want to just find some cool models, or if you have an idea, they have a hub of just models that you can fine tune. So it's a good place to just get your model needs, I suppose. So GPT4All is how you can run it on your local machine. At least it's one of the ways to run it on your local machine. And it runs on a CPU, which is very nice. And yeah, I would download this and check it out. It also has ChatGPT and GPT-4 built in if you have the API key for that. So this is a cool resource that that I would put on here if you want to try it out. It also has Wizard on there, which is a fine-tuned version of Llama, which is supposed to be really good. So Stable Diffusion plus Automatic 1111. So we'll probably go into this in more detail in the diffusion presentation, but I threw a ton of links here if you want to try to get this running yourself. Stable Diffusion is annoying to get running well. And I hope that these links here will help out with that. So the first link is Stable Diffusion XL. That's where you can get it. So Stable Diffusion itself is a model that I mean, we'll get into in the actual meeting, but it's this model that generates images from text. And Stable Diffusion XL is the newest model, and it's really good. I mean, it generated that picture of Elon in a sombrero saying Stable Diffusion XISL. Awesome. That's a pretty good picture. But to actually get this thing running is quite annoying. But we have this awesome guy called Automatic 1111 who has done most of the hard work for you. So the second link is his GitHub repo, and you can download that on your machine if you have a beefy GPU. But if you don't, you can use RunPod, which is the last link, and it has cheap like GPU renting.
Also, just a note is, so Stable Diffusion is like a model. It just is like a program that runs. It doesn't have any sort of like interface. Automatic is like a web UI on top of that. So it's a website that connects to your model that you're running. Automatic 1111 also has a lot of like extensions. So you ever see like people doing like the really crazy things with AI art? Almost everybody is using Automatic 1111. So if you really want to get into AI art, learning how to use Automatic 1111 is the way to do it. On top of that, if you have like a gaming computer, that's best, like a desktop gaming computer, if you want to run it by yourself. But if you have a MacBook that's an M1 or M2 chip, it's also really good at running both the chatbots and Stable Diffusion, because the way the Macs work is that your memory is basically like your system's memory and your GPU's memory is shared. But in like a regular computer, your system memory and your GPU memory is not shared. So that means you have like, you're limited by the amount of memory you have, but the MacBooks are actually super good at running these models. So we also have that option, which a lot of people aren't aware. Now, a lot of things aren't supported by the MacBooks, but if you just want to get started, it's not a bad option. And then obviously there's RunPod, which has GPUs you can rent, but that usually costs that's like about 10 to 15 bucks for like a good week or two of messing around with Stable Diffusion.
Yeah, when I'd say cheap, I meant relatively cheap for GPUs. It could be a lot more expensive. So it's a good
Real quick, kind of adding on to that, RunPod's really nice because it kind of has everything already set up for you. So you can literally like click the package like, oh, I want to run Stable Diffusion, and it will literally just set the entire thing up for you, and you just click a couple buttons and you can get into it. So it's really good, especially if you're kind of like, oh, I'm looking to get this up on my machine, but I don't want to deal with the annoying hassle of getting it all working. So how about I test it over here first on a machine that's not mine? Yeah, it's usually what you want to do. You want to test it somewhere else before you go on your own machine. You're like, oh, I'm going to change some stuff. So it's really good, easy way to get started and check out things. Another thing we were also looking into for this, or I was looking into, was a Comfy UI. So for not to get really into the whole thing right now, but kind of for Stable Diffusion, kind of the state-of-the-art thing right now is people either use the web UI, this one, or there's another one called SD.next, or they use something called Comfy, or they're like node-based Stable Diffusion not models, but like methods, I guess, or UIs. And those are like kind of the two main ones that people use, either UI based or node based. So we're looking into that, and we'll probably show off a little bit of that as well.
But if you try and get this up and running and you run into issues, you have questions, hop in the Discord and just shoot us a message, and we'll definitely be able to help.
I think we all have stable or Automatic 1111 running, so we should be able to help. We've run into a lot of the issues. Yeah, AudioCraft. This is an interesting repo made by Meta. If you're interested in like audio processing, then this is a cool repo that you may want to check out. They have 4 models now, actually. They added one recently. They have music gen. So if you want to generate music, it's text to, I think it's text to music. Audio gen, text to audio. So I think that's just audio in general. And then in codec, if you're more interested in like the audio deep learning, music gen and audio gen are just models you can use out of the box and kind of play around with on that side as well. And then in codec is if you really want to like you need an auto encoder for something for audio, then there you go. There's also another one that they added on there that's like another diffusion model, but interesting to check out. I think it would be cool if you want to try out some audio
It's
stuff.
really cool for making like production or samples for music production. You can basically like if there's any sound you want but can't find, this is actually really good at making those sounds that you wish you had.
Yeah. Voice cloning with 11 Labs. So there's 2 more that actually cost money, but if you're interested, you've probably seen YouTube. You may have seen like YouTube videos of the president playing Minecraft or something. They probably use 11 Labs or some variation of it. 11 Labs is the one I know of. And maybe if you want to try to make your own, you can use 11 Labs and check that out. And then they OpenAI just released this article or this method to fine-tune GPT 3.5, so ChatGPT, and you can fine-tune it on your own data through their API. So if you're interested in trying to fine-tune your own fine-tune your own ChatGPT on some data that you have, or maybe play around with it, it's a pretty cheap way of doing it, actually. Surprisingly, you don't have to have a GPU, but the downside is you don't get the weights if you were looking for that, but easy and relatively cheap if you want to try to get ChatGPT fine-tuned on some data set that you have. May be interesting to check out. And it came out like a few days ago, so I haven't had too much time to mess with it or check it out. And those were all the things that I had. So there we go. Got anything to add?
I do. For the voice changer, there is a local version that is way better than 11.
Oh, what is it?
It's it's
it's
called Voice Changer Planning.
We will add
By WK. There's a lot of
voice changer client.
yeah, it's just called Voice Changer Planning. By W-Okada, which is OKADA. Yeah.
All right, there we go. That's
So
on there.
that one is actually like the main one that people use, because with 1111, it has some weird, like when you try and use it, it's a little awkward to use. This one, you just record your voice and it will copy your intonation as well, without you having to do anything about it. And then you can also like adjust the pitch of the output voice a lot easier. And then if you want to like clone somebody else's voice, you just need like 2 minutes worth of audio. And you can just literally, I'm pretty sure you can just paste in a YouTube link and it will grab the first voice it can, and then it will work.
That's pretty good. I
It's
do.
really good.
That's
It's
fine.
really
I'll
good.
try that out.
And it's got a lot more. It's kind of.
You said it was local as well?
Yeah.
11 is not, so
Yeah.
that's a massive plus.
I literally just downloaded and tried it, like one of the base voices, but I saw some people on YouTube like demoing it, and it's incredible. You would never be able to tell that it's somebody else. Actually speaking, so that's it, that's good.
Awesome. Well, there we go. Yeah, but those were all the things that we had. Those are all the meetings as well. Hope to see you I hope to see you at some of the future meetings. Be a fun semester.
Also, if you guys have any questions about anything we talked about today or anything about the club, just shoot us a message in the chat, or if you don't want to do it there, just DM us. We're all happy to respond whenever.
Yep.
And thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks everyone.